helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. Hey guys, it's Tony. Welcome to the Duty Free Rockstar Extravaganza. I have been sitting here thinking about what else I can share with you all in this long month of January. And I thought, well, I'd just bring you to work with me. I've actually got work to do today. And I know I've shared with you guys episodes of working with a group out of Birmingham called the Black Jacket Symphony. Well, members of that outfit have decided to start a new series called the Maverick Lounge series, where they basically pick a supergroup and they dissect their catalog and they walk you through the history of the band and the different chapters and stages and how they all came together, maybe. The first band that they've decided to tackle is one of my all-time favorites, one of the early bands that I learned how to play guitar to, and that is Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young. You could call me a super fan of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. My folks were big fans of theirs, and so their records were some of the earliest in my record collection. I've just been accumulating the better part of their catalog throughout the years, and I've kind of learned most of their music throughout my career. So to be tapped to do this with these guys was pretty awesome. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it, though. Even though you think you know some music, to really learn it, to get it as close to the record as you can, takes some time, because there's a lot of parts, a lot of different guitar tunings, and I just thought maybe I would walk you through some of that and share some of the things that I've learned about Crosby, Stills, and Nash over the years. See if any of that is of interest to you guys. But yeah, here we go. Let's check it out. So I suppose we'll start it off with the song that kind of kicked it all off for Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Is the first song off of their debut album was called Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, and it was basically a suite because I believe Stephen Stills had sort of three different songs that he was trying to put together, and this was the vehicle for that. So they arranged the song. There's all these sort of sections to it. It's really a remarkable song. It's quite a masterpiece, and it's a bit of a marathon. But it starts with this really crazy tuning that I've never come across on any other record. I believe it is a Stephen Stills original, maybe. But basically, it's this string here is E, which is what it always is, and this one is B as well. So these are the only two strings that stay the same. I know most of you aren't guitar players, but there are some of you out there like Corin and Rachel. You guys might appreciate this. But E, B, and then E, E, octave lower, E, E. So it's 5 strings of E and 1 B string, which is totally crazy. But when you see what... crazy trivia is that apparently the first time Crosby, Stills, and Nash ever got to play live in front of an audience together. Remember, they all came from different bands. They were all sort of solo artists in their own right, similar to TFDI. But their first big gig was the biggest gig. It was Woodstock in 1969. Upstate New York, and so they came out with this acoustic guitar, and the three of them gathered around 2 microphones, and they crushed it in front of a couple 100,000 people. Quite a remarkable starting block, I would say, but it's a great tune. It's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. That's my part that I'm singing, and that would be the Stephen Stills part. Then I believe David Crosby came in at, it's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. And then Nash was always up there, he sings it, it's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. Something like that. It's not my part, so I don't really know it that well. But you see how the parts stack up, 3-part harmony. It's just a gorgeous tune. Obviously one of my favorites. Next up is easily one of my favorite songs of all time, and apparently maybe the only thing I have in common with Miles Davis. The song is called Guinevere, and apparently Miles Davis was a big fan of Guinevere when he was making his Bitches Brew record, which is one of his most avant-garde projects, double disc thing. He did a version of Guinevere. It didn't make the actual Bitches Brew record that he put out, but about 20 years ago, maybe, I guess it was, they put out an extended box set of all the outtakes from Bitches Brew, and he did a version of Guinevere, which is just an amazing bit of flattery, I suppose, for David Crosby, who wrote it. But it's a very mystical tune, I think, and it's got a lot of urban legend kind of stories of how it came to be. Apparently, Guinevere was written about 3 separate women. Each verse was about a different woman that Crosby had a relationship with, or that he had a story to tell about. But again, this one has a unique tuning as well. You tune these guys down. This B string goes down to A, and this E string goes down to D. If any of you guitar players have ever played in dadgad, it's very similar to dadgad, but we don't tune the low E down at all. We leave that at E. We tune this A string up to a B, so pretty. Pentagrams like yours, lady, like yours. Getting a chance to do this with the members of the Black Jacket Symphony, or the Maverick Lounge as it is now, is going to be a real treat. And we actually did spend some time in rehearsal with it, which was pretty magical, I gotta say. Now again, Crosby, Stills and Nash, they had made their first record, and they had done some done some touring, and were kind of a big deal. But Neil Young was always sort of right around there. He played with them at Woodstock, which was cool. But they decided to get in the studio and really get after it with Deja Vu, and it was officially Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And you can really kind of see from the artwork that they were deep up in it, man. Whatever the inspiration of the day was, they were full blast with it. And I believe it was Neil Young who kind of brought that extra octane to sort of send them into a more broad, more authentic version of themselves. And so Deja Vu is a classic, and I don't know if you can tell, but this packaging was very controversial at the time because it's very thick, almost feels like a football, and it was embossed. I mean, that was way beyond. The photo is on top of it, so it was very expensive for the label, and the band insisted. They totally insisted that they go with this, and that the label do this, and Atlantic did, and the record went on to sell quite a few units. And I think that was back when people started to realize that albums were, something to hang on to, and not just, things that wind up in a bin somewhere, but actually like a book cover, in this case, a book cover and bookcase, because it's very, very crazy. But this one in particular here, this one so far was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and it was a compilation, sort of a greatest hits of what they had done so far. And the album cover was actually painted by Joni Mitchell, which I believe most people know. Obviously, it's right there on the cover. But she and Graham Nash had a thing, apparently. David Crosby sort of presented her to the music industry at large, and her and Graham Nash went on to have a thing. I think she kind of went on to have a thing with pretty much everybody there, but specifically, her and Nash wrote some songs. Our House, I believe, was written about their place together, and she had written a bunch of songs. Willie, I think, was a song that she wrote for Graham Nash. So yeah, it was all sort of incestual and wonderful, a Laurel Canyon kind of thing. But yeah, this one is where I learned a lot of songs off of this record. Some of the first songs I learned to play, like Wooden Ships and Ohio, Guinevere, Helpless. They're all on here. Great record. That's really about it, you guys. I've got some work to do. I've got a lot of rehearsing here to do, a lot of songs to cover. But I thought you guys might enjoy something that I'm clearly rather passionate about. And yeah, hey, if you're in the Birmingham area, February 17th, come see the Maverick Lounge at the Workplay Theater and watch us lay it down. The Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young. And maybe we can all sing along to something like. You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by and peep among your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Teach the children well, the father's help did slowly go by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry.